don't see Clark.
Oh, maybe he's still sleeping.
Dad, where are they going?
I don't know.
Word that the fragment has hit Central Florida.
Come on, let's go.
But the sky's on fire.
There's something deeply unsettling about the idea of the world ending, not in some distant, abstract way, but right here, right now, in a way that feels immediate and personal. Greenland takes that fear and transforms it into an intense, grounded survival story that focuses less on spectacle and more on the human cost of impending doom. Starring Gerard Butler and Morena Baccarin and directed by Ric Roman Waugh, the film presents a scenario that feels frighteningly plausible. A comet is on a collision course with Earth, and humanity has only days to react. At the center of the story is John Gerard, a structural engineer whose life is already quietly falling apart before the global catastrophe even begins. His relationship with his wife, Allison, is strained, their trust fractured by past mistakes, and their young son, Nathan, is caught in the middle, unaware of just how fragile his family unit has become. The film doesn't waste time diving into explosive chaos. Instead, it begins with a sense of uneasy normalcy. People are aware of a comet passing by Earth, and the general assumption is that it's a harmless celestial event, something to watch on the news or observe in the night sky with curiosity rather than fear. That sense of calm, however, is carefully constructed, and the cracks begin to show almost immediately. As fragments of the comet begin entering Earth's atmosphere, what was once presented as a spectacle turns into a nightmare. The initial impact is sudden, violent, and devastating, instantly shattering the illusion of safety. Cities are wiped out in moments, shock waves ripple across regions, and the global realization sets in that this is not a near miss, it's the beginning of an extinction-level event. The film captures this shift with brutal efficiency, moving from quiet domestic tension to full-scale panic in a way that feels organic and terrifying. John receives a government alert that changes everything. His family has been selected for emergency shelter in Greenland, where a network of bunkers has been prepared to preserve a fraction of humanity. The selection process itself introduces one of the film's most haunting themes. Not everyone is going to survive, and the decision of who gets saved is cold, calculated, and deeply impersonal. It's not about fairness or morality, it's about utility, health, and the harsh logic of survival. This element alone adds a layer of psychological tension that runs throughout the narrative, as characters are forced to confront not only external danger, but also the ethical implications of a world where human lives are being weighed and measured. From that moment on, the story becomes a relentless journey. The Gerard family must navigate a collapsing society where order quickly gives way to desperation. Airports become battlegrounds, highways turn into chaotic escape routes, and trust becomes a rare and fragile commodity. The film excels in portraying how quickly civilization can unravel when faced with an existential threat. People who were once ordinary citizens are pushed to extremes, driven by fear, survival instinct, and the overwhelming desire to protect their loved ones. One of the most compelling aspects of the film is how it keeps its focus tightly on the family. Despite the global scale of the disaster, the narrative remains intimate, grounded in the emotional stakes of John, Allison, and Nathan as they struggle to stay together. Every obstacle they face feels personal, every separation hits with weight, and every moment of reunion carries a sense of fragile hope. The bond between them becomes the emotional core of the story, a thread that holds everything together even as the world falls apart. As they move from one location to another, the film introduces a series of tense encounters that highlight the unpredictability of human behavior under pressure. Some strangers offer help, showing compassion and solidarity even in the darkest moments, while others become threats, willing to exploit or harm others for a chance at survival. This duality reinforces the idea that in times of crisis, humanity reveals both its best and worst qualities. The line between hero and villain becomes blurred, and survival often demands difficult choices that challenge the character's moral boundaries. The journey itself is filled with obstacles that feel both realistic and overwhelming. Missed flights, sudden separations, dwindling resources, and the constant threat of incoming debris create a sense of urgency that rarely lets up. The film doesn't rely solely on large-scale destruction to maintain tension. Instead, it builds suspense through smaller, more personal moments. A lost medical supply, a delayed reunion, a single wrong decision. Each of these elements carries significant weight, emphasizing how fragile survival can be in a collapsing world. Gerard Butler delivers a performance that leans into vulnerability rather than traditional heroism. John is not a life-out-of-lie figure. He's a flawed, desperate father trying to hold his family together against impossible odds. His determination is driven by love and guilt, and that emotional complexity adds depth to the character. Morena Baccarin brings equal strength to Allison, portraying a mother who is both resilient and deeply human. Her journey is just as intense, marked by moments of fear, courage, and unwavering commitment to her child. Together, their performances ground the film in authenticity, making the stakes feel real and immediate. The film's pacing is deliberate yet relentless, balancing moments of high tension with quieter, introspective scenes that allow the characters to process what's happening around them. These quieter moments are crucial as they provide space for the emotional weight of the story to settle. Conversations between family members, fleeting moments of hope, and reflections on what might be lost all contribute to a narrative that feels as emotionally engaging as it is suspenseful. Visually, the film avoids excessive spectacle in favor of a more restrained, realistic approach. The destruction, when it occurs, is impactful and terrifying, but it's never the sole focus. Instead, the emphasis is on how these events affect the characters on the ground. The camera often stays close, capturing reactions, expressions, and the raw emotion of people facing the end of the world. This approach enhances the immersion, making the audience feel like they are experiencing the events alongside the characters. As the story progresses, the concept of hope becomes increasingly fragile yet essential. The idea of reaching Greenland, of finding safety in a world that is rapidly becoming uninhabitable, serves as a driving force for the characters. It's a distant promise, one that feels almost unattainable at times, but it's enough to keep them moving forward. This tension between despair and hope is a central theme explored through both the characters' actions and their emotional journeys. The film also raises questions about survival and what it truly means to endure. Is survival purely physical, or does it also require preserving one's humanity? The choices the characters make often reflect this dilemma, forcing them to balance self-preservation with empathy and compassion. These moments of moral conflict add depth to the narrative, elevating it beyond a straightforward disaster film. As the comet's final approach looms closer, the sense of urgency intensifies. Time becomes the most valuable and scarce resource, and every second counts. The film builds toward its climax with a steady escalation of tension, weaving together the various threads of the story into a cohesive and emotionally charged conclusion. The journey to Greenland becomes not just a physical destination, but a symbol of survival, resilience, and the enduring strength of human connection. In the end, what makes Greenland stand out is its commitment to telling a human story within a global catastrophe. It's not just about the end of the world, it's about the people trying to survive it, the relationships that define them, and the choices they make when everything is at stake. By focusing on a single family's journey, the film creates a narrative that is both intimate and expansive, capturing the scale of the disaster while never losing sight of its emotional core. The film leaves a lasting impression not because of its destruction, but because of its humanity. It reminds us that even in the face of unimaginable loss, there is still room for hope, courage, and connection. And in a story about the end of everything, that message feels more powerful than ever.